Yeah, the move. Whatever hand you hit, you move to that side. Left hook, boom! You gotta think of throwing punches. Your job is to throw punches.
A dog with sheep, it will become a sheep.
What if the most devastating knockout artist in heavyweight history handed you the blueprint to destroy your opponent? What if Iron Mike Tyson himself pulled back the curtain on the training secrets that made him the most feared man on the planet? Well, that is exactly what just happened. Anthony Joshua has been studying under the shadow of a legend, adopting Mike Tyson's brutal old-school techniques as he prepares for one of the most controversial fights in boxing history. And if you think Jake Paul knows what's coming for him on December 19th in Miami, think again, because AJ is not just training, he is transforming. And the secrets he has unlocked could end Jake Paul's boxing dreams in a single devastating moment. Let us take you inside the most intense training camp of Anthony Joshua's career. Reports have emerged that Joshua has been working closely with Mike Tyson's methods, studying the old-school techniques that were drilled into Iron Mike by his legendary trainers, Cus D'Amato and Kevin Rooney.
Doing it in the gym, coming forward, punching to the body with his...
This is not about modern fitness trends or fancy equipment. This is about going back to the raw, brutal fundamentals that turned a troubled teenager from Brownsville into the youngest heavyweight champion the world had ever seen. Joshua's current focus centers on three critical pillars: strategy, speed, and power. His camp is emphasizing tactical planning and physical conditioning at levels we have rarely seen from the British heavyweight. The goal is singular and absolute. Ensure that Joshua enters that ring in Miami fully prepared, operating at peak performance, and ready to deliver a statement that will echo through the boxing world. But here's where it gets fascinating. Anthony Joshua has revealed exactly how Mike Tyson personally inspired him. It was not just watching old fight tapes or admiring knockouts from a distance. Joshua studied Tyson's power and discipline as motivational cornerstones for his own evolution.
I got from Mike Tyson. A lot of wrestlers do this. Quite dangerous, actually. Physios don't like this type of stuff, but it's good for neck conditioning. It's called neck bridges. And it's flexibility and strength at the same time. So it's a really good exercise if you want.
And then he did something that separates the good fighters from the great ones. He took action. Joshua has incorporated specific neck and shoulder exercises into his daily routine, exercises that come directly from Tyson's proven methods. These are the same brutal drills that gave Iron Mike that iconic thick neck and explosive punching power that terrorized an entire generation of heavyweights. Joshua himself demonstrated one of these exercises, the infamous neck bridge that Tyson made famous. He admitted that physios do not like this type of training because it is dangerous, but it delivers results that cannot be achieved any other way. The exercise builds flexibility and strength simultaneously, creating that foundation of neck stability that allows a fighter to absorb punishment while delivering devastating blows. When you watch Joshua rolling his neck with his entire body weight balanced on his head, you are witnessing a man who is willing to risk injury to gain every possible advantage. That is the kind of commitment that turns fighters into champions. Now, Mike Tyson himself is weighed in on Anthony Joshua, and his words carry the weight of someone who has seen everything this sport has to offer.
You give to somebody like AJ?
That he has a lot of talent and not to get discouraged. He only loses when he quits. When you quit, all the doors of opportunities close. You know what I mean? You have to be game, and then don't get discouraged if you lose. Listen, you just lost. You may have got $30 million. I just think the more time you lay off, the worse you get. You have to fight to be the best. You have to do.
Tyson praised Joshua as an incredible fighter with exceptional talent, but it was his advice that truly resonated. Tyson told Joshua that continuous fighting is the key to improvement. Stay active in the ring, keep sharpening those skills, and never let rust accumulate on your weapons. Tyson emphasized that consistent competition builds the kind of confidence that cannot be manufactured in a gym. It only comes from stepping through those ropes and putting everything on the line. He also delivered a warning that every fighter needs to hear. Do not get discouraged if you lose. Tyson reminded Joshua that he only loses when he quits. When you quit, all the doors of opportunity close forever.
Bro, my physio's looking at me like, what the fuck? I can see you looking at me like, fuck, please don't fuck you. Hey, if it goes, at least you're here anyway. You know, 43,000 tuned in. Oh, mate. I know I started this shit.
Just want to set up the physio table, put the flats on it.
Anything.
Get back up there.
I'm easy, boss.
Eat.
Showtime sent me a lovely picture of me, the donkey.
This is wisdom forged in the fire of experience, coming from a man who experienced both the highest peaks and lowest valleys that boxing can offer. The intensity of Joshua's current camp is unlike anything we have seen before. He is training like a man possessed, adopting elements of Tyson's signature style while building on his own already formidable foundation. Specialized neck rolls have become a daily ritual. Strength exercises focused on building resilience and explosive power are consuming hours of his training schedule. Overall conditioning is being prioritized alongside speed and technique work that is pushing Joshua to new limits. The workouts are specifically designed to enhance his punching impact, the kind of power that can end fights in a single moment. His training is also targeting improved agility and endurance, ensuring he can maintain that devastating output for as long as necessary. Everything about this camp demonstrates Joshua's full commitment to refining his skills and dominating in the ring. On December 19th, Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, has made his position crystal clear.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But, as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world...
He believes Anthony Joshua would defeat Jake Paul, and he is not being diplomatic about it. Hearn stressed that Jake Paul is not considered a top-level boxer and is not regarded as a big name in traditional boxing circles. But here is where Hearn showed his intelligence. He cautioned everyone not to assume that Joshua's victory would be effortless. This is not about underestimating Jake Paul. It is about properly valuing what Anthony Joshua brings to the table. Hearn pointed to Joshua's history of defeating formidable opponents, including Francis Ngannou, whom many consider an elite fighter in his own right. Remember, Ngannou had just come off a controversial split decision loss to Tyson Fury, where many believed he actually won the fight. Then Joshua stepped in and knocked him out cold. Hearn emphasized that Joshua's victories are the result of skill, preparation, and discipline, not simply facing weak or untrained opponents.
Bit of rumours around today, Anthony Joshua and
Oh,
Jake.
no. I'm not even really entertaining that. It's just not. Being a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, it's I don't know, YouTubers. I'm not really into all them influencers coming in there, and it's like some boxers that really work their butt off, don't get paid like what these guys are getting. And Anthony Joshua being a former world champion should be fighting like, someone in the top 5, top 10. So I ain't really got much time to talk about that. Not interested, really.
Bad for boxing?
Well, not bad for boxing. If people want to pay to watch it, then, who am I? I'm just giving you my opinion. Who's not worked his way through the ranks to earn that shot at the former world champion? No, not at all.
Australian boxing, any But who are you a fan of? Obviously got good fighters out there.
Joe's my type of fighter. He's very spiteful, and it's just another level, really. I don't think there's no better cruiserweight around.
Joshua trains rigorously and possesses a combination of power, technique, and strategy that allows him to dominate fighters at every level. But not everyone is celebrating this matchup. Boxing legend Nigel Benn has expressed serious concerns about how entertainment-driven fights are affecting professional boxing. Ben believes that when celebrities and social media personalities enter the ring, it creates a problematic situation for the sport's traditional practitioners. The financial inequality is staggering. Real competitive boxers who dedicate their entire lives to training and competing at the highest level often receive modest compensation. Meanwhile, crossover events generate public interest and viral attention that translates into massive paydays for participants who may not have the same level of experience or skill. Ben argues this trend could be harmful for boxing overall, undermining the efforts of professionals who have spent years honing their craft. The disparity creates an unfair competitive and financial landscape that threatens the sport's foundation. However, there's another perspective that cannot be ignored.
Someone knocks on your door and says, do you want to fight Jake Paul for 100 million? You're like, you'd be stupid to say no. No, I don't want that 100 million for what would be and will be and should be easy work for AJ. Like, well, why are you going to turn down 100 million? AJ should and could, should knock out Jake Paul in a round. Like, if Jake Paul was over here fighting under our British Boxing Board of Control, I don't think it would be a Southern Area Cruiserweight champion. AJ is a former unified heavyweight champion of the world that I still believe is a top 10 heavyweight in the world. Like, AJ should be able to destroy him. AJ is going to be 60 pounds or so bigger than him. AJ hits like a truck. AJ is a better boxer. Like, this is a no.
The financial case for Joshua taking this fight is overwhelming. Analysts have highlighted that turning down such a lucrative opportunity would be unwise when earnings could approach $100 million. For a fighter of Joshua's caliber and experience, the challenge posed by Jake Paul is minimal compared to the astronomical reward. This creates what many consider a very low-risk, high-reward scenario. Financial windfalls of this magnitude are rare in boxing, even for top-level champions who have unified belts and headlined stadium shows. Taking advantage of this opportunity is being viewed by many as simply a smart career move. Joshua can combine massive financial gain with a manageable level of risk given Paul's relative inexperience as a professional boxer. From a pure business standpoint, the numbers make too much sense to ignore. The boxing fan community remains deeply divided on this matchup. A large portion of fans have been vocal in their criticism, with many feeling this represents one of the biggest mockeries professional boxing has ever seen.
Anthony Joshua gets in the ring with YouTuber Jake Paul, and that's what he is, YouTuber Jake Paul. Would you watch it? Simon, before we take some calls, with this seemingly in the pipeline, can we safely say goodbye to Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury?
Well, I think it's done anyway, judging by the mood music that seems to be coming out from various camps. If you listen to Tyson Fury, he seems to be, despite the fact we've danced this dance before and walked this walk before, he seems to be talking in a very different way. There's no hyperbole. It's, I'm done. This is a younger man's game. I've done my bit. I'm at peace with where I am in life. I don't need boxing anymore. But not in the flash for cash way that Tyson often does it. In a more earnest way is my understanding of his sort of thought processes. So with that in mind, it almost feels that that's off the table anyway. Who knows? The draw of the enormous amounts of money that this one fight can generate. This is the one fight that can really get everybody paid. I mean, the two protagonists. Whatever Usyk takes, tragically for him, he wouldn't even get anywhere near as much money as potentially being offered for the Fury-Joshua fight.
What would earn AJ more of a pay packet? Fighting Fury or fighting Jake Paul?
Well, I would think tragically fighting Jake Paul.
God, what is that?
Because the revenues, because it's a Gen Z TikTok generation that wants to watch sport in a certain way.
Yeah,
and that's nothing critical of them. It's just the way that it is. And that's the circumstances of social media and the platforms that people like Jake Paul are able to cross over. It's not a case of people in the mainstream should be dinosaurs. The digital world and those opportunities and those platforms are marvelous places. And you know, you heard me talking about Mark Goldbridge the other day and the commercial deal that he did with the Bundesliga. And we can be sniffy about their level of content, or we can accept that there's a place for everybody. It's interesting that still the digital world and that sort of...
Critics point out that this fight pits a seasoned heavyweight champion who has unified multiple world titles against a social media personality who lacks experience in traditional boxing circuits. There are genuine concerns about Joshua's legacy. Some fans worry that choosing this fight may prevent him from pursuing a potential bout with Tyson Fury, a more legitimate and challenging heavyweight opponent that would cement his place in British boxing history. The fight appears to many as prioritizing financial incentives over the sport's competitive and historical integrity. Social media platforms and boxing forums are overflowing with discussions highlighting frustration at this mismatch. The debate ultimately centers on an age-old conflict in sports, money versus sporting credibility. Yet analysts have observed something important about Jake Paul's choice to fight Anthony Joshua. This marks a significant escalation in competition compared to anyone Paul has previously faced. Unlike the older, retired fighters and MMA crossover athletes Paul has built his record against, Joshua is an active, high-level professional with a history of fighting top-tier opponents. This shift challenges Paul to adjust his training, strategy, and mindset in ways he has never experienced.
Maybe even bigger than the Mike Tyson fight. It's hard to say, really. Tyson was a big name, but it's going to do numbers regardless because Joshua is a big name, and then people are going to be tuning in to see Jake Paul get knocked out. Right now, Eddie Hearn talks about Jake Paul taking this Joshua fight.
I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. Like, you know, I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, you know, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, you know, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, you know. So it would be huge, but nothing, you know, to tell you it's close, just a few conversations so far.
Damn right, if Jake Paul takes this fight, he's got some major balls on him. And I know people hate influencer boxing, but come on, he's not fighting an old, retired, past the prime MMA fighter. No, he's fighting a legit boxer who's massive, 6'5", 6'6", jacked, 240, 250 pounds, shredded, power puncher. Do we need to remind ourselves of what Joshua did to Francis Ngannou? Francis Ngannou was coming off a pretty good performance over Tyson Fury. He didn't get the win in that fight, but you could argue that he did actually win that fight. And Ngannou, throughout his entire MMA career, in 4-ounce gloves, very rarely got hit. He could take a punch. He's got a big, fat African head. Big, thick neck, traps, back. He just can't really be hit. And look what Joshua...
He can no longer rely on facing someone past their prime or inexperienced in serious professional bouts. The matchup tests his abilities more realistically than anything he has encountered. While Paul undeniably remains the underdog, this fight provides an opportunity to demonstrate growth and improvement that could silence at least some of his critics. Not everyone believes this fight will actually happen. Shane McGuigan has expressed significant skepticism, describing the entire idea as farcical. He questioned the practical and logistical elements that would allow such a fight to materialize. While public interest and media hype certainly exist, multiple factors could potentially prevent this bout from happening. Contract negotiations in boxing are notoriously complicated. Promotional issues could arise between competing entities, and there are significant physical and reputational risks involved for both parties.
Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul reports. What do you make of it? And if we were to see AJ step in with Jake Paul?
I said it yesterday, I'll say it again, I think it's farcical. I just don't see how it's going to materialise. I didn't think the tank fight would materialise, and it didn't. And you know, it's all good saying that you're going to box somebody, and then, you know, but until literally they're on the ring walk and in the ring, and I'm not going to believe it.
away from AJ. What do you make of the Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. fight next week?
It's an interesting fight. Haney's up at 147. He looks good. He looks physically good. It's mad to think he's only 26 years of age. Confident-wise, I don't know what that Garcia fight took out of him. Because yes, he tested positive afterwards, but I believe that his Achilles heel is punch resistance, and I think it'll be interesting. I don't know enough about Norman, but I think definitely test him, and maybe Devin Haney will hold a better shot now. He's up at 147. But yeah, it's an exciting matchup. I think it's a
From a pure sporting perspective, McGuigan suggested this matchup may not make sense for Joshua if his primary objective is maintaining competitive credibility. His comments reflect concerns held by many in the boxing industry who remain wary of prioritizing entertainment and financial gain over legitimate sporting challenges. What cannot be denied is the shift in how Jake Paul is being perceived within the boxing world. He was previously seen primarily as a celebrity and social media personality, playing at being a boxer. But analysts are now noting that Paul is beginning to gain recognition as something closer to a legitimate competitor. This is due in part to the increased level of competition he is willing to face. The growing perception of Paul as a real fighter has influenced how fans, trainers, and commentators view him, leading to a new respect for his efforts and accomplishments. This does not mean Paul is anywhere near the same level as elite boxers like Joshua, but it signifies a meaningful step toward credibility that cannot be dismissed. People now acknowledge that Paul trains rigorously, studies boxing techniques seriously, and demonstrates willingness to step into genuinely challenging fights.
The one that I was mostly familiar was the Anderson Silva one. Where Anderson Silva had like one sick round where he's like, whoop, whoop, doing it what Anderson Silva does and missing everything and cracks him and whatever. And then he just like the next few rounds, he's back to like just getting his butt kicked by Jake Paul and walking around, doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think these guys are actually getting dropped to like faking. I think Jake Paul actually has that kind of power. I just feel like they kind of know the deal.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. I make a lot of money. You make a lot of money, not as much money as me, but you make more money than you ever would. So you take it. It is what it is. But I don't know. Kind of sucks to see all these legends, right? Like of the sport. Like you don't want to see that. You don't want to see this guy is losing to freaking Jake Paul.
I will say I loved everything about the Tyson fight in the lead up, and then as I'm actually watching it, I'm like, all right, this is actually fucked up. My bad.
Yeah, it's like senior.
Even when he turns around on.
While he is still learning, the fact that he is taken more seriously represents a notable change in perception and marks a turning point in how crossover fighters are viewed within the boxing community. December 19th in Miami will answer every question. Anthony Joshua enters that ring with decades of elite-level experience, Olympic gold, multiple world championships, and now the training secrets of one of the most devastating punchers who ever lived coursing through his preparation. Jake Paul enters with something to prove to the entire world, with massive financial incentives, and with the knowledge that defeating Joshua would validate everything he has been saying for years. The fight represents a collision between traditional boxing values and modern entertainment economics. Whatever happens when that bell rings will impact both fighters' legacies and potentially shape the future of crossover boxing events for years to come. One thing is certain. With Mike Tyson's power secrets now embedded in Anthony Joshua's arsenal, Jake Paul is walking into the most dangerous fight of his life. And if Joshua connects with one of those Tyson-inspired power shots, the problem child's boxing dreams could come crashing down in spectacular fashion. The countdown to Judgment Day has begun.
He knows some other stuff like
how much Anthony Joshua made.
Is he in debt? Does he have to do? They know these.
There's an outside motivation to want to do it. Yeah.
And then that's probably why guys like Tyson or whatever would like, well, yeah, I need to pay some bills. Let's do it.
It also gets their name back out there, like in a big way.
And it has to be a big enough name that people are interested at all. Yeah.
And I think at this point, Jake Paul is taken a little more seriously than before. Like if it was the first fight, I think it's a lot different. But then at this point, I think it's more like Oh yeah, it's a thing. It's an exhibition. It's a
model.
thing. Yeah.
This has got to be big money because even Anthony Joshua's last fight that he lost, he reportedly earned about 25 million pounds. And when he fought Francis Ngannou in March, he approximately made $50 million.
Wow.
So, like, rumor mill has it so that
100
Jake
mil
Paul is
sounds
set
kind
to
of-
potentially earn, Jake Paul might earn 90.
That wraps up today's video. Stay locked in, and I'll catch you in the next one.